Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. Let's see here, audio settings. Sorry, we share this Zoom and so with different folks. So I'm just looking to see where the control is. I'm gonna go ahead and mute all. Let me go ahead and find that. Hi, Nathan, looking good. Good to see you. I just saw you.
Thanks. I thought I was on audio, video and I wasn't, so
Okay.
good to see you.
Yep. I normally see a mute all button, but it doesn't look like I can find it right now. Mark,
Yeah.
do you know where that lives?
Yeah, I believe if you click on participants, it should bring up a list of participants on the right-hand side of the screen, and then at the bottom of that should be a mute all button.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. We are recording and we're going to clear. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So before I share my screen, I wanted to take a minute to do a couple of introductions. I think about 95% of you on this call are current residents, and this is the second update we've done. We did our very first initial update back in May. And so we'll do one today, and then in 3 months, we'll deliver another update. The purpose of today is to give you all a little bit more information about how Meadow Peak came to be. We have our lead architect on the project, Nathan from TSA, and I'll have him introduce himself in a minute. And then we also have, of course, our mission and CNS partners, Gary Kelso, the CEO. He is on today, and I'll have him introduce himself as well. And then we've and our directors. And so I wanted to start by just letting you all know that we've started this project, gosh, Nathan and Mark, about 13, 14 months ago. And we would not be here today if it wasn't for Raquel Braithwaite. And so, Raquel, I wanted to kick off this meeting as a refresher to those who may have heard this last time, but can you talk about how you found out about this opportunity and how Mission and CNS and Summit Vista came to be?
Sure, I would love to. It's a great story. So I was at a conference, I believe in the fall of maybe the spring of 2019. And I was attending a session about Frank Ostasoski's work, and he talks a lot about mindfulness in healthcare. So this was a very rigorous conference with some very academic medicine sessions. And I thought, well, this is kind of different, this mindfulness conference, or this mindfulness breakout session. And so I was in the session, and we were asked to pair up with someone, and I knew no one in the room. And so this lovely woman next to me said, hey, do you want to be partners? And her name is Kim Dancy. And so we were partners for this mindfulness exercise. And it was one of those moments where those, what I think of as very few moments in your life where you have an instant connection with someone. You just know they're your people, and you know you're aligned, and you know you have the same values and interests and passions in life. And that's exactly how it was with Kim. And as I asked her what she did, and she asked me what I did, and we found more similarities. And so Kim is the Vice President of Business Development for CNS, which is a nonprofit hospice home health in the area, and they're well known for their contributions back into the community, such as Art and Soup is one of their fundraisers, if you've heard of Art and Soup. And so a great supporter of the community. And so we got to talking about doing maybe some education and training together. And then a few months later, she called and she said, hey, we would love to have a conversation with you about an interesting possibility. And that's when I had the opportunity to meet Brent Jones and Gary Kelso, who are on this call, and talk about what would it look like if we were able to accelerate our higher levels of care and work with the amazing organization, CNS and Mission together, to further develop our community, to add assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing to our community on an accelerated timeline. And the more we have this conversation, the more it seemed to be magical. We found that philosophically our organizations were very aligned. We really believe in the commitment to whole person care. Those of you who are familiar with the Eden principles, which Summit Vista has espoused from day one, it so happens that Mission is the only organization in the state that also adopts those Eden principles. And so really it was one of those relationships from the get-go that we knew was meant to be, and are so grateful for the partnership of Mission and CNS in this project.
Thank you, Raquel. So then Raquel introduced Mark and I to Gary and Brent. And so Gary, just to refresh everybody and the new folks on, can you give us an overview of your organization and your experience, and why you're excited to be the experts to manage this project?
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks, Kelly. And it is very, very exciting. I can't even express how happy we are to be a part of this project. Mission is a 30-year-old nonprofit company. And our philosophy is, as Kelly had indicated, has been centered around creating quality of life experiences for our elders, our staff. The Eden principles, as Kelly indicated, it's a very simple process. It's doing unto others as they would have to do to you. And the philosophy is, how do we create these moments, these quality of life moments? Mission is, we're diversified. We have four skilled nursing centers throughout the state, and we have 4 assisted living centers through the state. We have memory care programs, and we also have a unique community which is for the intellectually disabled. And as indicated, we are a nonprofit. That's been kind of what really has differentiated us from most other companies around us. We do give back to the communities. On an annual basis, Mission does almost $3 million of charitable care and services. So we're very focused on how do we give back to our communities. And Kelly, do you want Brent to give a little information about community nursing as well?
Please do. Hey, Brent, sorry, I didn't see you there. Absolutely. So Brent, if you can chip in as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I work with Mission as well as CNS. Hi, Carl. I see you down on the bottom of the screen. Our first introductions were with Carl. Raquel talked about when we first met, and boy, within about a day of meeting Carl, it was full steam ahead, and we've been excited ever since then. But so I work with Gary with Mission, but also on the CNS side, we're a home health and a hospice company. We're a nonprofit as well. Been in existence a little over about 92 years. 1928 is when CNS was formed as a nonprofit, and it's been a nonprofit. It's a local company, statewide at this point. But we see this whole continuum of care, and that's why CNS and Mission have done so much together. We saw this as a good opportunity when we came in to keep that continuum of care all the way through that post-acute life that many will have and many will live. So we see it as a real good opportunity. And again, Raquel had that instant connection with Kim, so she got to know a little bit about our culture and our values, and it's just a great alignment with all of us. And so we are excited. We have loved working with Mark and with Kelly. They are just so giving and so caring, but it's going to be a great project. So we're grateful to be a part of it as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Brent. Brent is the president and CNS, and Gary is the CEO, and we are very excited to partner with them. Just one more introduction since he mentioned Carl. Carl is part of our investor group, and so we report through him and run a bunch of our ideas through him, and it's good to see you today, Carl, so thank you, and we'll get into some of those details of who's backing this in just a minute. One more introduction. I said I wanted Nathan to speak about TSA. So Nathan, today's presentation, we'll get into the details and I'll throw it back to you a few times, but if you could just give a overview of your experience and your architect firm, just so people have that knowledge, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Kelly. And it's great to hear more of the story here. We came together rather quickly. It was a, kind of a, I don't know if you would say it was a marriage made in heaven, but things happened very quickly and things took off and we are able to create some magic together, I think. We are TSA architects. My name is Nathan Murray. I'm the design partner for the firm. And our firm focuses solely on healthcare, acute healthcare, and senior care. And we typically really focus on legacy type clients. If you're only focused on bottom line and just making a buck or something like that, we're not the right fit. And it's because our business model is modeled after our values. This is the way that we give back and contribute to our community by using the talents that we have. We don't have the skills to be, doing the caregiving on that kind of thing, but this is how we can contribute, and it means a lot to us to be able to be involved in this. We love Summit Vista because they're very dynamic. They have a special mission. They stand out in the community, and you can tell they care about what they do, and so we're grateful to be a part of them. And the same with CNS and Mission. I particularly am a big fan and have been a patron of Art and Suit for many years. We have added much to our collection from the artists that are represented there. And of course, the group is very much special to us. But I'll say also that personally, our family is all involved in healthcare. My wife is an educator for a major health system here in this region. I've chosen to focus my career on healthcare architecture and senior care design. Our kids and their husbands and our daughters and their husbands and all work in healthcare at some degree or another. And it's because it's so fulfilling to have an impact on people. So I don't know what more I could say at this point, but look forward to talking more about the project.
Great, thank you. I love when Nathan speaks because he has such a calm, smoothing voice. You should be a Golf Channel announcer, Nathan.
Oh, really? Okay, consider that. That's the first time I've heard that, but thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to get into some overviews. So what I wanted to, this is obviously our second meeting, and my goal today is that we, have an overview. As you all know, we named our building Meadow Peak, and our tagline is Your Health, Our Care. And we are opening in May of 2021. And the overview about Meadow Peak is right here in a nutshell. We will have 54 assisted living apartment homes, 20 memory care suites, and we will have 63 skilled nursing suites for a total of 75 skilled nursing beds. And so all of you are really starting to see the construction come to life. And as I had shared with you, these are sort of the grounding initial founders. Gardner Company, who is a big investor in our community here, really led the charge for the investment and loans from different folks. And so they are our lead investor on this project. And then of course we have Mission and CNS that are going to be our management company. Mark and I meet monthly right now with Gary and Brent at Mission and CNS to start talking through, how are we going to hire for this? What types of collateral do we need? How do we back into what this looks like to have a very successful grand opening? And so behind the scenes, those conversations are already happening. And so I wanted to take a step back just for a minute because a couple of questions I get asked often from folks who live at Summit Vista or folks who are inquiring are, how do I know what level of care is appropriate? Or, Mark, Raquel, do I need to be on the waiting list for assisted living or skilled nursing? And what does that look like? And as a reminder, we have an entire team here under Raquel's leadership and Amy with her healthcare navigation that really support you all when you live here and making that decision together. And so, Amy, I wanted to have you give your expertise to help describe when should someone reach out to you to understand if Meadow Peak is a good option? And then what does that look like? And so, Amy, will you go ahead and share with folks how that care plan meeting looks?
Yes, absolutely. So everybody wants to stay living independent as long as possible. That's what everybody wants to do. And I want to do what our residents want to do and keep them living independently as long as possible. And so I think some people get confused and they think as soon as they need a little bit of extra help in their home, maybe their memory is not as good as it used to be, so they need some medication reminders. Maybe they're having a little bit more falls and are unsteady, so need a little bit of assistance with showering. Maybe they're no longer driving, so they need some assistance with transportation. I think some people think they automatically need to move to an assisted living, and that's really not the case. Assisted living is a wonderful option for people who do need a little bit of extra help, but living in independent living, which you all live in now, I can bring in extra help to help you with some of those activities of daily living and independent activities of daily living, so ADLs and IDLs. We can bring that help into your apartment home here. If you're finding that you really are having more and more troubles, maybe getting off the toilet or transferring, that exceeds more than maybe 4 hours of private pay care, then we'll discuss the transfer over to the assisted living, and we'll make that as smooth as a transition as possible. But no, between your Medicare benefits of home health, private pay care that's available in the community, we can get you some extra help in your apartment home where you're at now. If it does get to the point where you do need more private pay care, financially it might make sense to move over to an assisted living. So at an assisted living, you do get that 24-hour care that's available, usually through CNAs, certified nursing assistants, and nurses. You get the emergency response button. And so that's really there to help if you need just maybe one person helping you with transfers to the bathroom, help with showering. So you do have that kind of 24-hour care. Where on independent living, we're very unique where we have the 24-hour EMTs, but not necessarily that medical care. So yes, if you need any extra help, you've probably all heard my spiel. I am here to help you navigate all of those healthcare needs that arise throughout your time at Summit Vista.
Great. Raquel, as Amy does the healthcare navigation, your department really takes care of all the aspects of health and wellness. And so from your perspective, how do you see community life playing a role in supporting our residents?
I think the most important consideration is what we call goals of care. It's that what matters most to the resident, because every resident has a different situation. For example, in a couple, one person in the couple may be experiencing some memory decline, and the other person in the couple is not experiencing that, is serving as a caregiver and loves to attend the Summit Vista activities and events. In another situation, there might be an individual who is single who has a lot of help from family members who visit every day and live around the corner. And in another situation, there may be either a single person or a couple who need a lot of support and assistance day to day, hour to hour. And so really understanding the individual situation is, I think, the most important thing that we do. And then we're able to provide guidance and appropriate resources rather than a one-size-fits-all solution, because that is not going to meet the needs of our residents. And so what we would do is provide an assessment, and either we could initiate that on the community life end. Amy and I are a nurse social worker duo. And so we may have a physical assessment, and that means we evaluate your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your psychosocial well-being, and see if additional supports at Summit Vista, or if a move to part of our continuum would be most appropriate.
Great, thank you. I've had the pricing information on the screen for you, just so that folks could write this down. We work with Mission and CNS on this pricing, as well as Garrett, our Director of Finance, and their CFO, Michelle. And so we wanted to be able to provide you all with ranges for the different levels of care. And so here we have, assisted living can range anywhere from $3,600 a month up to about $7,000 a month, depending upon your levels of care. And that's what Raquel and Amy have been talking through with you all. And then if folks need memory care is a secure, beautiful environment for those who just may need some support and additional support for their memory. And that is $59.50 per month right now. And so the final level of care is our skilled nursing. And in Utah, what defines somebody needing assisted living versus skilled nursing are two things. The first thing is, if you need more than 2 people to assist you at a time to help you transfer from your bed to any other device, that is a requirement for skilled nursing. You can have 1 person support you in assisted living, but if you need 2 people, then you have to live in the skilled nursing for safety. And the other thing is you have to be able to, for the most part, get from point A to point B on your own without somebody needing to assist you with that. And so those are sort of some of the boundaries that we look for in trying to decide if somebody is more appropriate for assisted living and skilled living. Let's see here. Okay. I want to throw it back. Oh, I'm sorry. The pricing information for skilled nursing is private pay. Skilled nursing is a daily rate. And so we also will have the Medicare rehabilitation as part of this. And so if a resident does need something replaced, a hip replacement, or needs a temporary stay to get stronger, that is part of the skilled nursing and the rehabilitation aspect. But if somebody needs to live there permanently, we do have some Medicaid opportunities, as well as our private pay daily rate of $385 a day. And so this is why it's really important to meet with Raquel and Amy and their team when you're a resident, because we're really going to figure out what makes sense financially for you and also supports your health and wellness goals for whether you're living alone or with a spouse. And so that was the brief overview of sort of pricing and the key players. And so I want to throw it back to Nathan, because this is sort of our concept statement and how we really came to design this building. And so Nathan, this is what you're most passionate about, is design. And so can you sort of talk through this concept and how we came up with the outside design first?
You bet. Thanks, Kelly. We have the great benefit to live in such a beautiful valley surrounded by mountains, and there's not many places in the country, maybe in the world there are. Went to Switzerland last year, and that's beautiful. But we have awesome views, and we're cradled between 2 mountain ranges. And there's something special about this area. I am a resident of Taylorsville. I actually live just a couple miles to the east of your community there. And this plot of land has been vacant for the longest time. And I know that Taylorsville city leaders have been scratching their heads for years and just, we're waiting. They have the patience to wait for the right thing to come. And I'm so glad that something like this had the opportunity to take root here and to be founded here. So we're nestled in northern Utah between 2 beautiful mountain ranges. And what was important was because in the continuum of care at assisted living and skilled nursing, the residents are a little bit more of a captured audience, let's say, right? They're not as mobile. They don't get out and about as much. And so what was important is that we brought to life those unique elements that are Northern Utah, that are the Salt Lake Valley, that bring in the views, that create architecture that is unique to place, and that really bring the outside in and all the activities that can happen within. It's important for us, and it's important for Summit and Mission, that the broader community felt at home here. And so take note of all the efforts that have been made to not only connect the outdoors with the indoors and vice versa, but to create spaces where extended families for whatever event, just daily moments in life, they feel comfortable here. They feel this is a place that they want to come to as well to enjoy life. And so the architecture is very simple. Simple and honest. We felt like when people looked at this and enter this community, because this is the first thing you see, the image on the right is skilled nursing. And you can see clearly where the entry is there. But the important thing about the vernacular here, that's kind of the architectural vocabulary, fancy word there, is to create a scale that felt like almost like a village. And so you can see pieces of the, parts of the building are broken off to indicate that these are residences, right? And the peaked roofs, many peaked roofs. And so there's a nice friendly scale to this. You can see that the windows are very expansive. We put the biggest windows we could get away with, to take in the great views and the environments that are going to surround this place. You can see the landscape. It's very native and organic, as a nice foreground to mountain views and such. You can see there's a patio, an enclosed patio at the corner there on that right-hand image. Just lots of daylight and places to enjoy nature and so forth. The image on the left, I wish it was just a little bit bigger, but that's okay. That's going north, going just past skilled nursing. You can see a little bit of it on the left there. And then you start to see skilled nursing. This is kind of the main courtyard, if you will, that looks off to the Wasatch Mountains to the east. And you'll see a large kind of volume there, and that's the great room. And so flanking each side of the great room at the nexus of all this activity, where the world of assisted living and skilled nursing come together, is this great room where Christmas concerts, Mother's Day parties, other music concerts, those kinds of things can come together here, and you'll find that the spaces overlap one another. So it really is embracing the full spectrum of activities that can take place there. Really, the sky is the limit.
And I have more of those images too, Nathan. So
great.
I'll show them to you. So yes, we really took the idea of just bringing the outdoors in. And so one of the things that we wanted to show you today as well is some of the fabrics as well that we're designing. And when you look at the concept, this was really the color palette. And Nathan said, listen, we want to get the sunrises, the 4 seasons of Utah, and really take a look at how we can marry not only the exterior, but we're really starting to get into all of the interior details. And so these are the color palettes that we went with that Nathan and his team shared with us. Do you have any comments about the color palettes, Nathan?
No, I think you said it well, Kelly. Utah's a unique place. We have red rock country. We can't forget about that, but we also are in northern Utah. And that image on the lower right really, I think, captures the mountains in the background, the red rock country that you might see around the Bryce Canyon area, and then all the conifers, the fir trees, and things that are characteristic of northern Utah. There's just such a richness that we tried to capture.
So we're really giving you all sort of an inside peek of how a building comes to be. And so it started with this initial color palette, and now we're getting into all of the fabrics. And so the meetings that we're having now, we're looking at different furniture, different carpet, different couches. And so these are some of the fabrics that we're using in assisted living. And so you can see the greens and the yellows and the siennas that really make things pop, that marry Summit Vista's interiors as well. And so the next one, we have our skilled nursing fabrics. And so each sort of area of care has a little bit of a different feel so that people recognize that they're in different areas of the community. And so this is our skilled nursing. It's got more of the lighter tones, more of the maroons and the light greens. And then our memory care has very cool colors as well. It creates a very calming effect to have the tans and the greens and the blues as well. And so our meetings right now are looking through hundreds of swatches, deciding what we think with experts in the room and folks who have a lot of experience in the higher levels of care of what all of this should be and what it should look like. And so that's the stage that we're in right now. And when they mail us the fabrics, this is what we get here. And so it really lays out just the different sort of artwork that we're looking at, carpeting, woods in the certain areas, in the kitchens and living rooms of the apartment homes, and skilled nursing suites. And so lots of different things are happening right now as the building is really coming together. And it's exciting to create that visual space. And so then, Nathan, I have some concept pictures here from a furniture perspective. Can you share with our folks sort of how we came up with the interior design?
Yeah, I think that's, so I guess I wanted to ask you, Kelly, have you been able to add our interior renderings to this presentation today?
Yep, it's the next one. We're talking through all of the designs, and then the renderings will pop. Yep. Great.
Yeah, so much like the architecture, it was important that the accoutrements, the furnishings and the fittings complemented well the architecture. And rather than getting stuck at some historical niche in time, we really strive for timelessness and a classic look, so that you can't point to it and go, oh, there's Louis XIV or whatever, but something that transcends time and really relates to the outdoors and the architecture and that kind of a thing. And so you can see there's clean, crisp forms, sculptural, natural materials, natural palette. That's really the focus here. Anything that can accentuate being a part of the outdoors.
Yep. So once we design all of the colors and the furniture, we've then sort of started to lay in what that looks like. And so the very first picture on your screen is the bird's eye view of all the levels of care. So you see you've got the skilled nursing at the bottom, and then you've got the common space areas that I'll show you some of those additional renderings in just a few minutes, but you have the memory care on the first floor as well. And then the next two pictures are the top floors of assisted living. And so you can really start to begin to see how not only from design to concept, but now that the interiors are coming in, we're starting to create really great drawings and renderings so that people can get a great idea. This presentation will be at your disposal to use and refer back to. But as we've looked at sort of all of the different interiors, and I think, Nathan, this was the picture that you were wanting to have a little bit bigger, that beautiful connection of community space that really ties in the skilled nursing, memory care, and assisted living is in this big, great room that we have right here. And so just to briefly walk folks through some of this as well, when you walk into the initial assisted living from that entry, again, here is the concierge straight back, and then you have a little bit of a bistro and opportunity for grab and go food as well. And so let's take a look here. This is the skilled nursing. As I said, we have different colors in different areas to really help people recognize the location in which they're in. Nathan, can you talk about those beautiful windows and why you designed it that way?
Yeah, again, in skilled nursing, there's such a broad spectrum of patients that you might have. And in this continuum of care, it's not necessarily linear, right? You could be an independent living resident and happen to need a hip replacement or a knee replacement or something like that. that would require a short stay after that kind of procedure to recoup and recover in a higher acuity setting like skilled nursing, have more help, more care. And so again, this is a continuation of the community that's been established at Summit Vista of let's bring the daylight in, let's bring the views in. If you remember the overall floor plan, the image on the left, as we're looking at the floor plan, skilled nursing was straight, and then there was a kink that happened right at the center of gravity at the great room going into assisted living. And so while these promenades are connected, skilled nursing below, and then going up to, turning at an angle once you hit the great room, and then turning at an angle, it's two worlds coming together. And we wanted to humanize the scale. So rather than having one long promenade, we just kinked it, right? And that's just a subtle cue to say, hey, you're in a little bit different world here, but the worlds come together.
Yep, absolutely. So I wanted to kind of go back and forth to share with you all that. So then we have the indoor courtyard. And so again, Nathan, last time I just showed these renderings, but I think having the architecture perspective is helpful. And so can you talk through this sort of indoor community area as well? And you can sort of see the indoor plants and bringing the outside
You bet.
in.
Now, again, these courtyards that you see to the left and the right between resident wings are meant to be enjoyed in several different ways. One, there's many resident rooms that look out onto the courtyards. As people come along the promenade, we wanted them to be able to reference the courtyard. They are accessible. The doors are slightly out of view, but both sides you can get out to the courtyard. And in fact, some of the physical therapy modalities, physical therapy is located here in skilled nursing. Some of those activities are located outside in the courtyards. And then you also see that planters actually come in, and the flora that's in the courtyards, you can see it coming in on the right. There's more on the left that's too much in the foreground, so it's not quite in the image. But in this particular space, we wanted people that maybe couldn't go outside. Maybe they're in a wheelchair recovering for hip surgery or something like that. They feel the benefits and effects of being outside. And that's why you have the ceiling treatment above, kind of an open trellis, if you will, and then pinpoint lights, almost as if they're the stars and that kind of a thing. Hard surface, you even have the landscape boulders that come in, and furniture that could live either inside or outside. And then you can see going on to the dining room. Yeah.
Yep, great. And then these are the smaller community dining rooms in the assisted living. And so it was definitely designed to create, if you didn't want to be in some of those more shared spaces, you could have the opportunity at the end of each corridor to have this country kitchen dining experience. Nathan, any feedback on sort of your thoughts and why you designed it this way?
Yeah, again, you see straight ahead going back, that's the kind of the straight resident wing on the assisted living side. And then there's a curved wing that's right behind us. This is the adjoining space in the middle. And it's really intended to feel like the space in between buildings, right? You're outside, expansive glazing, plants, a sense of open ceiling and height. But this is a great little gathering place for family and friends. As you say, you don't have to go down to the main promenade. You have it right here outside your door.
Yep. The next photo is hot off the press. This is the great room that we've really been talking about, that we spent a lot of time and energy sort of saying, how do we create such an inviting space? And so Nathan, I know you were wanting to touch on this a few slides back, but share the vision. What is this space? How do you see families interacting and all levels of care, and why the such high ceilings? Talk us through the design on this one.
Well, again, I mean, we're all getting older at the same rate, right? and maybe our ability level changes as we get older, but there's still a zest for life and a celebration of life that wants to be supported and catered in this. And so this is that space where the two worlds come together: Christmas concerts, music concerts. I wish I could share the latest construction image, looking, standing more where the stair is that you see on the right, looking out the window, because it really captures the,
There you go.
yeah, you got it. The view of the Wasatch. And so what do we see there? The far peak on the right is Lone Peak. And then the peak right over the water towers, it's actually Twin Peaks there. But we catch that panorama right there. And then the views are bookended by skilled nursing there, little village on the right. But life still happens. It may happen at a little bit slower pace, but man, life is still rich. And you can imagine that flanking these, beyond and in the foreground are the dining rooms for each of these areas that have outside terraces as well. And so dining and activities in this great room all have the opportunity to spill outside. There's a place for kids to play outside. And so lots of opportunity, lots of possibility here. Oh, one more thing. You'll notice it's a high bay space, a high space. And so you can see on the right there, you can see the second level. So the second level of assisted living actually looks out over this great room. And it has that wonderful stair where you connect directly there as well.
Yep. And so this picture that Nathan was just talking about, we get weekly construction updates, and we are going to make sure that you all are getting those on CareMerge and you can see sort of how this is coming together. But this is as of last week. So obviously, Nathan, you just said this is the great room. This is, and chime in as the architect, I'm just looking at marketing plans, but this looks like it's the backside of the skilled nursing, correct?
It is. That's the west side that's being framed there with assisted living beyond the west side.
Great. And you can see how quickly, and then here's the beautiful memory care suites with the nice curved design.
Yeah, memory care also has a courtyard here. And the wonderful thing about memory care is this entire unit is arrayed around this courtyard. And so you can see the expansive windows on the left. That's actually a hallway with resident rooms along it. So they come right out their door and they're looking out over a courtyard. And then as you recall, in the rendering of those country kitchens, in between the curved assisted living wing that you see on the right here, see the gentle curve there, and then the straight wing as it looms above to the left. That space in the middle that adjoins the courtyard you see there is that slot between the wings. And so they also enjoy the beauty of this courtyard in the foreground, and of course the views beyond.
Yes, great. And we have a few more. This is the entrance. We've really noticed it starting to pop lately. Nathan, one of the questions somebody asked me this morning that I don't know the answer to, is there a fireplace that is an indoor-outdoor fireplace, or what do the fireplaces look like in this particular space?
Thank you, Kelly. I'm trying to think. I don't believe we actually have an image that shows the fireplaces in the living areas at skilled nursing that are actually two-sided indoor-outdoor fireplaces. So it doesn't occur in this view, but maybe if you have bring up the skilled nursing plan, we can point out where those are real quick.
Yep, let me head on back. Don't get dizzy, everybody. Yeah. Here we go. Yep, I'll send that back for you. There you go.
Okay, so again, the image on the left, the overall floor plan of the ground floor of this community. There's skilled nursing to the south on the bottom, and you can see the courtyards with all the organic pathways and stuff like that. The brown rendered area on each end of both sides of the courtyard there have a fireplace and surrounded by lots of glass, but those are double-sided. So each one of those sides of senior or skilled nursing has a living area with the fireplace and the views that kind of bookend both sides of that courtyard. And then additionally, there's a fireplace. Well, there's two more fireplaces actually. There's one at, if you can bring up the skilled nursing entry lobby image, there's a fireplace there.
Oh, the renderings, yep.
The interior, yeah.
Yep. 1 second, let me get back to that. Right there, yep.
So there's skilled nursing, and you can see the fireplace on the left there. And then also assisted living right at the entry has a fireplace. I think it was just the prior image.
Thank you. So I will be able to answer. We have lots of different lovely seating areas with fireplaces. Great. We're going to go back to the construction update just to show you all sort of where we stand. My goal for the next time that we do this in November is to really take you on a tour inside, a construction tour where we're walking with you know, maybe I'll have one of the architects or one of the designers come with, and we can really start to show you some of these spaces as we get closer and closer to opening. And I would also say, if you all have different information that you want to learn next time, or something that, or feedback for me of what else I can present to help you have the information. Today, again, was really about the design and the architecture and how this came to fruition, with an overview, again, of pricing and the higher levels of care. But as we get a little closer, it's exciting to see all of this come to life. And so the wood, Nathan, another question I get asked is, why did you do wood on this side, but then it looks like steel on the other side? Can you explain why we had to do that from an architecture perspective?
Yeah. And so maybe it's not apparent to a lot of people in architecture, but there's a lot of considerations that go into designing a building. It's not just the aesthetic expression, it's the function, the form, and the structural system, right? And so we're talking about the structural system. On the south side at skilled nursing, we have wood framing. And the reason why we have that is because it allows us to get the expansive areas that we need for a good cost, right? And so the code allows for us to have a structural system of wood framing up to a certain height, because we're only one level high on skilled nursing, and so that's wood frame. So it allows us to get a better building for a lesser cost. Then you start to see on the right side there, the great room, we start to see mild steel, I-beams and W-beams and that kind of thing. And that's a higher cost. And the reason why we have to go to this higher cost is because that's an assembly space. So there's a certain code requirement there. We also have concrete. We need shear walls because we're in a certain seismic zone here in the Intermountain West. But it still has all of you can see the sheetrock there on the lid. That is providing a fire rating right there at the deck level, so that, and then you can see, starting to see some of the building and systems there. The fire ratings and all that kind of thing are still in place with certain materials to contain and limit any, in the event of a fire, any of that to protect residents and that kind of a thing. So there are considerations that we went through to decide, okay, it would be cost effective and beneficial to go with this structural system here versus a light gauge metal framing, which you see in the background here with concrete deck. Those are all different considerations during design.
Great, thank you for that. Gary or Brent, I just want to put you on deck for a great question that we just received. People have been asking us, why just one level for skilled nursing, and why did you build the assisted living with multiple levels? And I know we spent a lot of time talking through the why. If one of you could chip in to share why we designed it so that all of the skilled nursing residences were on one level.
There we go. Primarily when you're dealing with residents with a higher level of care needs, having multiple levels make it a little more challenging. Also, when you're looking at staffing, the staffing ratios they're formulated based on state requirements. And if you have multiple levels, it makes it very impractical to be able to staff it with licensed nurses. Whereas if you have it on a single level, that nurse may be able to work between two wings. It makes a lot of sense just from an ADL perspective. Residents who need to travel between their rooms and therapies, and having to go multiple levels makes it a little more challenging. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Brent, if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, so then on the assisted living side, because they're more independent, able to get around a little bit more, it allows for that flexibility and that easeability of moving up and down, getting to the elevator unassisted at time, most of the time unassisted, instead of working through elevators and getting down to different places throughout the community. So that's why the assisted living is that way as well, instead of having that all just on one level.
Yep. And then Nathan, another question that I've had in the past that I think is a good time to answer is, why would you, is this a LEED green certified building, and how do we determine if sometimes we go that route versus not going that route? I'm sure you get that question a lot in what you design and build.
Yeah, the LEED designation that you're referring to is really about leadership in energy and environmental resources, right? Just being a responsible steward. And as a benchmark, as a starting point, we design all of our buildings with a minimum silver LEED rating, whether we go through the certification process or not. And that's just part of our core values anyways. We would be doing this anyways. And those are things like the optimization of daylighting, so you're not having to use artificial light sources for lighting, which you can see we've incorporated it here. It's having healthy, sufficient air changes so that the air is healthy to breathe, right? And so that comes in the mechanical systems, the air conditioning and heating systems. It's also in the materials. Are they low? Are they low emitting in terms of toxins and that kind of thing? And the whole industry is really moving that way, but we take extra care to make sure that the materials that we bring in are not only healthy in in that aspect, but also engaging kind of a thing. And then there's also aspects like, did the materials that were sourced for the project, are they local, right? Are we going to China for this, for France for that? And that's not necessarily sustainable. In the right circumstances, yeah, that's fine. But being a wise steward over resources means sourcing things locally. And we have a lot of sources here, thankfully, in the surrounding Salt Lake and Utah area that are contributing to this project, that are even substitutes for products that might be available further abroad. So, yes.
Thank you. And we're sort of coming to an end of this quarter presentation, but another question I've received, Nathan, is, has COVID impacted the construction timelines or delays, or is that having an impact on Meadow Peak at all, or have we been able to power through?
Yeah, I'll try not to get on any kind of political soapbox with this one, but certainly we're aware of the precautions that need to be taken so that we don't unnecessarily expose our populations to more risk than they need to with COVID. And so, has it been a factor? Oh yes, it's been a factor. In fact, we've noticed that whereas our meetings were on site, right, during design, during construction, they quickly turned to virtual meetings, right? And so thankfully, most of the entities involved were very stealthy and agile that way and equipped with technology. We were able to pivot pretty quickly and take advantage of that. The contractor, Oakland, has been outstanding at making sure things have remained operational while having safety precautions in place. I think we've seen that across the board. I think, Kelly, we've had our fun meetings, and I think it owes to how passionate everybody is. Everybody just kind of, okay, let's roll with it, and so everybody did their part and made the adjustments they needed to keep things rolling and make it a success.
Kelly, can I just weigh in briefly?
Please, you were next on my list. So
oh, there you go. Well, thank you. Being a healthcare company, we're hyper vigilant when it comes to COVID. We certainly know that everyone is concerned. If you look at my hair, I'm in that age bracket too that I'm very concerned because, you know, I'm in a high risk, like most of us on this call. So we are very hyper vigilant. We really understand the precautions that need to be taken. And I know that, you know, talking with all of the construction crew, they're aware of that. We've toured the site more than once, and I've rarely seen a worker that's not wearing a mask or at least is socially distanced while doing a particular job. And if this pandemic moves into next year, which, you know, we think it will, during opening, you'll find that we are very concerned. We have systems in place that we protect everybody. We're fortunate that we've had very few in our organization, residents or staff, very few, that have contracted COVID that have had any impact on others in the community. So we are sensitive to that question, and just understand that we take every precaution that we can as well.
Yep. Thank you. I know safety of our residents is most important, and I know that Gary and Brent, you all have navigated this pandemic beautifully, and so I think we're all figuring this out together, and when we mess up, we say whoops, and it's just trial and error, and we're doing the best that we can to protect our staff, but most importantly, the folks in which we serve. And I think that's exciting about our partnership, is that our residents' health is the top priority. And, you know, I think, you know, folks on this call, if you want to compile any questions for our next quarterly update that are more specific, feel free to do that. I will post my information on CareMerge, just so you can email me directly. Obviously, Kelly Ornberg, Director of Sales, Chief Marketing Officer here. And I'm going to end this with something exciting. It's a video of what potentially our community could look like over time. And it's in the editing format. We use a company called Bowen Studios. Both Nathan and I know their work, and they do a very good job. And it is basically a virtual movie of what our community will look like. And so I'm going to walk you through this. It might look a little choppy, and I apologize, but we can kind of share with you. We had a drone come through and actually fly over the community to sort of then place the buildings. And so it did about 20 different angles, and then the architects illustrated what Summit Vista and Meadow Peak look like. And so I wanted to give you all a sneak peek at this. Look at those gorgeous Wasatch Mountains. They are just beautiful. Some of the snow. This is a rendering. Obviously, you know, when you all walk outside, this is what it looks like, but this is computer generated, and you'll start to see a little bit more of the landscaping fill in. A lot of you asked questions about the different landscaping and what will the trees eventually look like. And so we're working through some of that as well. We'll have a courtyard view that shows some of the trees maturing. And so I'll show you when that comes. So this is out back by the pool. You can see the nice Poplar Creek building that opens in October. You've got the putting green with the trees filling in. This will take you over to the, there we go. There's Meadow Peak from the front. Then you can start to see the porte-cochere where people can drive up, can start to see the landscaping coming through. This is back to the courtyards with the trees. That's Poplar Creek, the third residential building. So we are going to continue to work on that and share that with you all. It's an important tool in sales to sort of create different spaces. We're also working on being able to have a touch screen version that allows you to move through the community and have an idea of what it feels like to be in the middle of it once it's the different buildings are built and the landscaping is here. And so it's been a little delayed with the architects, obviously just because of COVID and how things have shifted. But listen, I hope you all enjoyed this update. It was a little bit different. We wanted to give you an opportunity to hear from Nathan and his team and design team and how we partnered together to create this building. I will tell you that every decision that we make, we lean on the experts and their operational experience and to be able to serve the residents. And so some of the design changes that we've made were because Gary and Brent have a plethora of experience and know that this particular chair won't work and this particular table is what we need. And that color is a no way Jose color because we have that kind of experience. And so as you all know, we love feedback and input. And so all of the design at Summit Vista, we have asked specific residents over time for your feedback because we are building this so that you all can enjoy this lifestyle and thrive. And we want it to be something that you're a part of and that you feel secure in. And so we will be back in November with another update, and we will continue to update you all. If you have questions about what it looks like to move over to the higher levels of care, you can filter those through Raquel or Mark or Amy. In addition to that, some of the questions I get asked is, will we have priority? Of course, Summit Vista residents, it's our goal that we're building this in case you all need it. And then will there be a discount? Yes, we're working through those details. And so as we get closer and closer, these are some of the conversations that we're going to continue to have. I have one clarification that someone asked me, and that was just to make sure that folks understood that when you do a rehabilitation stay in skilled nursing, that is a Medicare stay that your insurance pays for, and then your supplemental insurance kicks in at some point as well. And so if you did need a short-term stay to get healthy, Medicare would support that. And so just wanted to clarify with you all. So thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Brent and Raquel and Amy for being a part of this today. I hope that you all continue to send me your questions, and that in November we'll be able to take you on a hard hat construction tour via live. So that'll be fun. So stay tuned, everybody, for the next update. Thank you for your time today, everybody.
Listening to meetings already, huh?
Kelly, if you're still on.
Yes. Hi. We got a few people on too.
Yeah, there was a question that came up on the little chat taskbar there or whatever.
Kitchen in the separate building.
And I'm just wondering if that person's still on and if they were interested in.
Yep. Hi, Carolyn. There she is.
Who's Carolyn? Carolyn, can you wave?
There she is.
Oh, hi there.
You asked, is there a kitchen in this separate building?
So when you say separate building, I assume that you mean here at Skilled Nursing and Assisted Living. Okay. So yes, there is a commercial kitchen that serves formal meals. And I think Kelly will be able to elaborate on all the different meal types that will be offered there. So there is that kitchen that has a bistro component as well and a Healthy Harvest component, which are both kind of resident facing. And then additionally, there's a practice kitchen and physical therapy on the skilled nursing side for more kind of physical therapy. Then there's the country kitchens on level 2 and 3 between the assisted living resident wings that you saw images of. So there are actually many venues for kitchens here.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Nathan. Appreciate that.
I think Carol is muted. If she's trying to say some things here.
Get on or not? Am I on now?
There you go.
Okay. I really thank you for that, because my background is dietetics, and I had visions of carts being transported from this building over to the other building in snowstorms. Gee, that's not worked very well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, true that. Yep. No, I think you'll find that food and dietary and the connoisseurs should be very happy in this place.
Thank you so much.
Great. All right, everybody. Thank you again. I'm going to end this meeting, but obviously you have my information and know where I am in the community if you have any questions. So thank you all for joining.
Thank you.